Hey guys, good afternoon. So I'm watching this market on close and seeing if they try to break it to the downside, and it looks like it's flat. So I was kind of hoping that somebody would come in there and push it down going into our RTH session for the traders, but it doesn't look like it kicked that way. But anyway, we did have a nice reversal top set up for both ES and NQ and SPX. So crude was flat inside the daily one. Gold traded up to 1.5 times the range. So there was a nice move on gold and it's holding its highs. So we've got weekly staying on top of the weekly ones. This needs to come off. That's an old one. And our monthly range is the problem. It ran into monthly one support at 3419.5 and flattened out. So the monthly one is holding it. We've got plenty of time to break it. We've got 2 weeks before the end of the month. So there's plenty of time for them to move the risk up and out, should they choose to do so. And with some things happening, I think with the Federal Reserve, this might start taking off to the upside, which means that the VIX could go wild. That's what I want to look at. We could get a really wild VIX. So Bitcoin was flat. It went up to daily two pre-market and rolled over and didn't do anything during the RTH session. Hit the daily two right on the nose. Rolled back in. But where are we on the VIX? Right here. So you can see our bottom held, which was important. More importantly, were my means holding. So we broke the 37-day mean briefly to come into the 30-day mean, but it went right back up. So that was a little fake out, breakout. And we need to get over 17. 17 is that giant gex. So once it clears 17 to the upside, it's sayonara. And I think, if Powell gets on that microphone tomorrow and just starts talking to the regulators like nothing has happened, he's a sociopath, psychopath, as far as I'm concerned. He has to address the fact that he was referred by a member of Congress for prosecution. And I don't know how he can justify staying in his position with a referral for prosecution without being able to show adequate documentation supporting that renovation. And the banking commission, that's not just any Congress member, that's the banking commission of the Congress, right? So they ought to know what they're talking about, and they referred him for prosecution. So we'll see what happens with that. But I mean, if he gets on the podium and acts like there's nothing different, or every day is a normal day, I have all the authority in the world to fund all the central banks. It doesn't matter what tariffs Trump imposes on you. I've got you covered. If he continues with that, then I don't know what we're going to do because, you know, um, that's just going to, I think unrock a lot of people, including me. He needs to resign. He needs to step out of the way and let someone that wants to support the United States and the president, not the global central bank cartel. In my humble opinion, he's got his role completely mixed up. He's catering to the Davos crowd, and not for the best interest of the country. So um, he can go get a job with the Bank of International Settlements. He just needs to get out of the Federal Reserve Bank. All right, I've had my say on it. We'll see what happens. But like I said, if he gets up there and pretends like nothing is wrong, he's a psycho. I'm sorry. There's no denying that. So he can't not address everything that's going on with the president asking, really demanding that he resign, and the Congress referral for prosecution, the banking committee of Congress referring him for prosecution, not just some, random crazy person in Congress. All right. All right. So we're at some quarterly levels, pretty close to them. And don't be concerned that it didn't hit the level. A lot of the times when it doesn't hit the level, it shows it's even stronger because it just means that that's really where the dealer is sitting, where their risk is 63.50, and they don't want you to touch it. We got really close to it. We got up to what was that high? 63.36. So almost, 10 points away, 14 points away. Here it is. 63.36, 89, right there on my daily 3. So they came in right at daily 3 and sent it back down. They do not want it to hit 63.50. That's where their risk is. Kept you off of it. So we'll see what happens overnight in the Globex. But this is uncharted waters. I don't think there's ever been a Federal Reserve chairman being referred for prosecution before. I'll have to Google that and let you know. In fact, we can do that right now. Where is my chat GPT? No. It's historic and unprecedented. That's what I'm telling you. Um, just make sure I'm saying this right. Oh, she's not a member of the banking committee. I'm sorry. Okay. So she is just a she referred him, that's where I was getting this, following his testimony before the Senate Banking Committee. Okay, but her role is external to the committee, that's what confused me. So I knew it was in relation to his Senate Banking Committee testimony. Okay, so for her own authority on oversight grounds. So what authority? Just being a member of Congress? Any member of Congress. Okay. Okay, they're non-binding requests. So it's urging them to investigate. Okay, I apologize. All right, so backtrack my statement there. All right, let's correct that. So it's the same thing. It's historically unprecedented. None have faced a formal referral for prosecution. So if it's confirmed, if this referral is confirmed, oh, it is confirmed. It is a serious escalation. She posted it. Look at my spelling. He's the first sitting chair in history to be formally in history. There we go. All right. So, yeah, he can't stay in office. He's gonna, yeah, he can't stay in office and defend his referral. Yeah. All right. So good for her. All right. So the market held up pretty well in light of that, but I don't think they realize the gravitas of this. I mean, why wouldn't he be able to pull up, you know, a chart of account or his um, contractors' statements, work orders, change orders, payments? If he can't provide the documented history to prove up that funding, there's a serious problem. And any legitimate construction account could do that instantly. And I mean instantly. You may have to say, I have some receipts pending or, statements outstanding, but you would produce copies of those. I worked in construction for like 9 years. I know this backwards and forwards. I know everything about construction. I mean, I was there during the WorldCom debacle, Bernie Ebbers and all that. And, where he was just milking money out of his company for his own personal luxury lifestyle. Was Powell milking money out of the Federal Reserves to buy treasuries, or shore up the repo, or just using a line item in the budget? or the Federal Reserve um, accounts that 2.5 billion line item for the renovation as sort of like a slush fund type line item holder so that he could have funds available to buy treasuries when he needed it or repo and then put it right back in the following day or the week after, however they move money around or allocations. It's, like a placeholder. I mean, they have the ability to print unlimited amount of money, right? So why can't he explain that 2.5 billion? Why can't he, justify the renovation costs? I don't really care about the construction. I mean, it's just outrageous. I mean, considering I know you could have built 10 10 complete skyscrapers for that amount of money, but what has me is his statements in Portugal, July 1st through 2nd, um, by telling the central bankers not to worry about the tariffs, that he had the full authority to offset any negative effects that they would receive to their currency with liquidity swaps. In direct contravention of Trump trying to negotiate tariffs to get the best possible deal, trade deals for United States companies. So he was working against the United States. I mean, you can't have a Federal Reserve president backstopping the world central bankers against America. And that's exactly what he did. And that's on tape. And he meant it. There was no unequivocation. They were talking about the ramifications of tariffs, the negative ramifications of tariffs on those countries. The question was specifically addressing the negative ramifications of tariffs on those countries. And he knew exactly what they were talking about. In fact, the Korea guy before him was even saying, can we have access to your reserves? What's going to happen to us if, we get this full hit? And Powell said in response to him, don't worry about it. I have the full authority to make sure you get all the swaps that you need. That is terrible. You can't, and that was like laying his allegiance on the stage in Portugal against the United States. You can't look at it any other way. So forget the construction budget. What he did in Portugal was 1,000 times worse, in my opinion, 1,000,000 times worse. So, I mean, he could be the biggest fraudster in the world, but it still wouldn't match what he just did in Portugal about his allegiance against the United States and in support of the countries that we were right in the middle of negotiating with. I mean, right in the middle of negotiating with them, still in negotiating with them. Why in the world would they ever negotiate knowing that Powell is going to get their backside, right? Why in the world would you ever negotiate knowing that Powell has got you covered, you know? So it's beyond terrible. He's got to go. All right. I'll keep my tongue right now because I could get in trouble because I will say a few other choice things and I don't want to. So that's it for the market. Just be on your toes tonight, tomorrow. Um, and again, if he gets on stage and doesn't address everything that's going on, then we have even more serious issues with him. And what is it called? Sociopathy would be my number one concern at that point because you can't not neglect everything that this portends to be. I mean, if you pretend it away or that you're in a higher position that's insulated against it, then you're crazy. This is America, and we elected Trump 3 times, not once, not twice, 3 times, and if you don't think that the middle America doesn't support Donald Trump and what he's trying to do to reshore this manufacturing and bring it back, then you need to go back to business school. Or go, like I said, go work for the Bank of International Settlements and get a job at WEF, because you clearly don't belong at the Federal Reserve, you know, supposedly supposed to be representing America interests. All right, I've said my piece. That's enough. I hope y'all have a good night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you so much.